and welcome to FGC Philosophy. My name is Tavian the Philosopher Napier, and I have lost my voice because I just got back from Battle at the Barn over in Lafayette, Indiana, and it was a long weekend. It was really fun. We're going to talk about that experience going over to the Collegiate and high school tournament, going there on behalf of Albion as a coach. But before we get into that, hello, I'm Tavian, the Philosopher Napier. I am a coach, content creator, a performance coach in esports, and also the esports coordinator over at Western Michigan University. I do a lot in the world of esports, and I also really like personal development. I like learning, I like growing, and I like helping other people. So that's why I do this podcast, to help everyone grow inside and outside the virtual arena. Again, I've lost my voice. It kind of sucks, but I had a great time. And so I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But first, I'm going to talk about a couple of things. I'm going to keep it quick because my voice is gone. It's like 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night right now. Maybe 12. I don't know. Wrote some notes, got them down here. We're going to hit them, and we're going to talk about it. It was inspired by my trip there. I always talk about what books I'm reading, right? Or listening to, honestly. I use Audible. It is an app that I listen to pretty much every day. And I was recommended a book by another coach who's like a really good Rocket League player over in St Ambrose. I believe it's GatorMelon. Very good, actually. Their team wound up taking out our team from one of the tournaments, so a little bit of spoilers there. But nonetheless, the book that he recommended was actually called The Inner Game of Tennis by W. Timothy Gallwey. Gallwey? I'm not sure how to pronounce that. But we were talking about conversations after the tournament. You know, we're at a barbecue. We're talking about just mentality, mindset, coaching, how to help bring out the best in other people. And he got into the topic. I was like, what books do you listen to or anything like that? And he started talking about this. And honestly, this book very much reminds me of a book I talk about a lot, which is The Art of Learning by Josh Waitzkin. Very similar concept, but this guy is a tennis master, and also he's now a performance coach. So essentially, he's an author who has written a series of books focused on the methodology for coaching and for the development of personal and professional excellence in a variety of fields that he calls the inner game. And I haven't gotten that far. I've only listened to probably about 20 minutes of it so far because I got it yesterday, and I listened to it when I went to bed. I listened to it. I'll put like a 15-minute timer up, and I just listened to it until I fall asleep. And so that was, I heard enough to be like, man, this is definitely a book I'm going to like. I was 15 minutes and I was already like sold. So I've only listened to a little bit of it, but I'm probably going to have to start over. I was pretty tired. It was a long day, a long weekend. But I enjoyed it. I like what it is, and I will let you guys know when I'm updating it. I'm still finishing a couple of other books, but again, it was a weekend. I was planning for that. I didn't really do a lot of listening to a lot of different books. So this is probably something that's going to move up the list a little bit. So I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this because I'm listening to 2 different books currently, and this is definitely going to be my personal development book. So I'll work that out on another time. But nonetheless, if you're interested in using Audible, again, I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I don't read a lot. I should. I'm trying to, but I still want to get that knowledge. So I use Audible. It's an app that just has a big catalog of audiobooks, and they've gotten bigger. I've had them for like 10 years, and I've only been a sponsor, or they've only sponsored me for about like a year or two. But I legitimately love this program. And so, to the point, if you are interested in trying Audible, but you don't feel like spending any money on it, you want to try it for free, use my link. You can go to taviannapier.com/audible. You'll get a free month, and you'll get access to 1 free book. And also you get access to the catalog that they already have, which again, I've talked about Viridian Gate Online. That's one of the books that's on there. I got to find some personal development books that they have on their list as well. So that's something I'll look into to see if there's any already in there that I can recommend. But use that link. You get a free month, no commitment. If you don't like it, no problem. If you do like it and you keep it, then I make a little bit of money inside. I can continue doing what I'd like to do, and we both have something. It's a fair exchange. So check it out. Thank you guys. Let's get on to the next topic. Quick self-plug for people who are local or around the Michigan area. So I work at Western Michigan University as their coordinator, which basically means I do a little bit of everything. And one of the things that I do is write curriculums for personal development in esports and competing. I do summer camps for high school students and middle school students, but now we are offering some classes for adults, not for competing, but to help them learn about the world of gaming and the world of esports. I've worked at GameStop for 6 years. I've talked to a lot of parents of gamers, from different ages, from like really, really young to, 18-year-olds and up. And I get a lot of the same questions. I get a lot of the same concerns. I notice a lot of the same things. So I'm trying to create a curriculum where I can talk about this stuff, and not in a stiff kind of way. It's going to be more personal and life experience, so that I can actually help out people and talk to them about topics, whether it be purchasing games for some of your younger kids, or maybe trying to use gaming as a bonding tool. Maybe you want to just know what the heck your kid is getting into and you're just kind of worried about it, talking about Discord, that kind of stuff. So if you or someone you know is a parent of a gamer or a potential gamer, then check it out. Reach out to me personally on Twitter. That's probably the best way right now, or email me at Tavian Napier, Tavian.n.Napier. No, I lied. Tavian Napier at wmich.edu. There we go. I nailed it. I got it. I'm a professional. I promise. But let's move on from there. This is the Battle of the Barn over in Lafayette, Indiana, and it was a pretty full weekend. We left on Friday, and I had about 5 hours of total drive time. It was an hour to get to the school and to our school at Albion, and then another 4 hours in a van with like 12 college students and 2 other coaches. And that in itself, it was a 4-hour drive. It went by quickly now that I think about it. At the time, it did feel like it dragged on, but we had a lot of good conversations. I got to get to know some of the other coaches. I got to know a little bit more about the other players on different teams that I don't really interact with a lot because I'm not coaching them. And that was kind of a nice little bonding experience. It was silly. Sometimes they were being college students, so we had to be more strict and make sure we're not talking about certain topics or doing any kind of crazy stuff. It's like a bunch of college age men, like from freshmen to seniors in a van. So you can imagine whatever you want, and we had to make sure we regulated that. But it was pretty fun. We're both gamers. We're all gamers. So they have a lot to relate with. There's a lot in the world of gaming that we can kind of talk about and theorize and get philosophical, and also just pop culture and other things that we like as well. So that was, it was a thing. It was a thing. I like driving. I like road trips. I didn't have to drive personally, which was nice because I did have to drive to one of the other tournaments and drive a van, and that's a little stressful. So I'm thankful I didn't have to drive, as I stumble over my words. Worked. It was a little bit weird. Okay. And I didn't have a lot of information going into this. This was sort of it's not last minute, but it was kind of put together as best as possible. So I'm not really trying to trash any of the situations that happened, but I just want to be realistic about it and talk about it. And I was confused because it seemed like they were going to have high school students going up against college students. And at the time when I had heard that, I was like, that's really weird. I don't know why you would do that. Why would you do that to college, the high school kids, put them up against college kids? And I was like, I'm going to try it out and see how it goes, but I'm just like, this is weird, right? And I get to the venue. The venue's really nice. This is nothing too special. They had some cool side attractions and things like that, things for people to do outside of just playing the games and watching the game. But it wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but I think it was maybe their first or second time doing this. So I think they did a great job in terms of location. There was a lot of space. There wasn't a whole bunch of people. It wasn't super packed. There was about a lot of players, but in a safe fashion. We're still in the pandemic, right? So I'm thankful for that. I do have a son with an immunocompromised. He's oh my God, I can't say it. Immunocompromised. Nailed it. He's immunocompromised, and I don't want to put him at risk. So it's nice that they were a little bit safer. People who were having coughs wore masks. I have a persistent cough. It has nothing to do with COVID. I've been tested several times, but it's just something that I have from probably when I got COVID 2 years ago. Yeah, that's great. But nonetheless, you can hear it in my throat too. I'm also from talking and whatnot, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, the first thing I want to talk about, and there's a couple different topics to cover here, but my team is the Rocket League team. That's why I went, was to be their coach. And the challenge that I have with this team is it's brand new, and the players that were joined the team, when they joined the team, they weren't super high ranked or anything like that. So the first year that we've been doing has been getting them up to where their peers are, to where other schools are. So we're basically always the underdog in every situation that we're in. And as such, it's kind of hard to keep people's morale when they know that they're not as good as people around them. But over this last year, the last 2 semesters, the school year, I've worked with these guys and they've grown so much, and they recognize that in themselves, and they recognize that in one another as well. And I've grown as a coach. I feel like I've learned more. I understand how to be a little bit more efficient with coaching. But as such, we went to the tournament. There's actually 2 double elimination brackets. We got there on Friday. It was kind of just a chill day to get to know everybody, check out the venue, know what, have the coaches meeting and talk about what to expect from the tournament organizers. And then day 2 on Saturday was the first tournament, the double elimination bracket. And then Sunday was the second day. And both days kind of went the same way. The only difference was the mentality. Like if you look at the scoreboard, it was essentially the same. Excuse me. But even though my team went 0-2 on both the tournaments, we had a long talk after the first day, at the first tournament day. And it was a hard conversation that had to be had both individually with players, but also as a team, and letting everyone air out their grievances and just certain habits and behavioral interactions that people have that wasn't productive. And I've been working with these students for a while, and I don't want to get too specific about the students because I want to be respectful, but I want to explain the situations and kind of take the individuals out of it. So I might mix some of the people or behaviors or thought processes just to keep it a little bit more ambiguous. But I just want to share the idea so that other people might recognize this and or have thoughts on this or input conversations. I'm going to have those. So nonetheless, I have one student who a little bit younger, a little less mature, but is really good at the game. Probably the strongest player in terms of mechanics and game sense, but probably the least mature in terms of composure, right? The least skilled in composure, where the other 2 players, they're a little less skilled mechanically and game sense wise, a little less experience in the game. But one student is a captain of an Apex team, so he does play a game at a high level and knows what it's like to be responsible for the mindset of other people around them. And then the other player is a really, really chill dude that is pretty easygoing and just works hard and has developed so much. So he was kind of the neutral person who was just chill. And it was a nice dynamic that we had. Everyone kind of amps each other up, but I feel like there's a lot of pressure that these guys had, a lot of expectations that I know they wanted to hit. And they've worked really hard, but unfortunately the other opponents are really strong. But from day 1, tournament day 1, having that conversation about making sure that you're not being entitled to something. You don't deserve to win just because you won it. Nothing is given to you. And also this is the last tournament for 2 seniors. They're going to go out into the real world after this. And so talking to the other student who's going to be there next year and helping that person understand it's not all just about them. And I'm not saying that's what they thought, but the way they behaved and the things that they focused on, they just didn't understand the opportunities they had and was too focused on a lot of negatives. And I had to work on that. We've worked on that over the years, and he has gotten tremendously better. And even the players have said that multiple times. But we have standards and accountability for one another, even as individuals and also as a team. And so we still call that out and we work on that. And we had to expedite the process. So I had to be a lot more blunt than I usually am, which is another topic I want to hit on in a second. But I had to be more blunt with the students and talk about the fact that, hey, this is your last tournament. Let's bring this together. Let's play our best. Let's leave everything on the floor. And, having different conversations with the individuals and helping them work on their individual mindsets. It was a great conversation. It was a hard conversation, but it was a good conversation because everyone, if you're a team, you got to have that trust. You got to have a certain kind of mindset, be on the same page and be willing to trust your team, be willing to trust yourself as well, and staying on task and not focusing on negative stuff. These are the things that you have to do. You have to practice mechanics or execution or form in your postures and such, but the mental aspect of it is incredibly important as well. So that's a lot of what I focused on here in year 1 of Albion coaching for their Rocket League team. And year 2 is probably going to be building an actual strong team now that we have an actual culture that we're trying to maintain. And a captain that I'm training up from freshman basically to senior, someone who has 4 years to work on building this team with me. And so I have to be building a leader. I have to be making sure that people are growing as individuals, because for me, it's not just about winning. I want these people to be ready for the real world. And I had this conversation with the 2 seniors, and I had the freshmen there as well. But just the things that I've talked about over the course of coaching you guys are things that you can use in the real world. When things get stressful, when things get hard, this is stuff that you can use to handle those situations. It's not a fix-all, a cure-all, but it's going to help you when shit hits the fan, right? And that happens sometimes. Life hits you, and we're in a pandemic right now, so there's so many wild cards that you got to be ready to keep your composure and be able to assess the situation and know what you can do to the best of your ability. It's not going to be perfect. Mistakes happen, but it doesn't mean that you can't recover from it and then move on and do something about the situation that you're in, or avoid a situation because you've been prepared enough and don't put yourself in there or self-sabotage as much. I'm tired, guys, but I'm going to get through this. And it's something that, it's, I don't know if I would call myself necessarily sad. As a coach, I've learned how to kind of separate myself emotionally while still investing my energy into individuals and being empathetic. But it is sad to see, it's exciting because they're going off into the real world and they're going to be better people and go do things, hopefully. But you're not going to see their company or anything like that and enjoy, you're not going to enjoy their company, their personality, what they contribute to the team. So there's a lot of mixed feelings that are new to me, I suppose. I've had this before. I've worked with high school teams, and I'll move on because it's just a job at the end of the day for some of these gigs. But you hope for the best for these individuals, and you're not talking to them on a consistent basis. So it's not like, it's similar to dad energy, but not the same. It's like little brother or just like a sibling or a close friend, not a friend, like a younger brother of a friend that you're just trying to make sure that they live their best life. And so it's a little bit of a bummer, right? I'm not a robot, but I'm hopeful that these guys are going to do the best with their life. And if they need some help, I'm not going to just poo-poo them away. I might run some sets of Rocket League with them or talk to them about hardships. I want to be that resource within reason, of course. I respect my own time as well, but I don't want to just leave these kids high and dry in case they don't have any good mentors around them. And that's sometimes the case. So it was really tough to go 0-2 on both tournaments. I want to be very upfront about my scores, because then in the future, when those turn around, I will be able to brag about that. So, that was really tough. But game 2, I feel like they played their heart out, and, the youngest one was sad, but he was allowed to be. That's fine. The other two, they were a little bummed out too, disappointed, because they do feel like they can win, but, the other teams were really good, and they understand that. Everyone on the team understood that at that point. So it was kind of bittersweet. I was proud of them for how they played, for how they focused, how the students kept their composure, and when they lost their composure, how fast they brought it back. Because that's what's more important. You recognize that you've lost your composure, or you recognize someone else has lost their composure, and you bring each other back to the now, to the present, so that you can get shit done. And I can't be more proud for them. I want to see them win, but that's more of a pride ego thing, right? That's more of just the prestige and the reward and the recognition. And that's great. That's great for my career. That's great for the students. That's great for our school and job security. But that's not going to help them in the long run. But building character will. So I couldn't be more proud. I watched them play. I really enjoyed it. And the last thing I'll kind of segue into is, I got one of our players after the 0-2 on the second day. I actually had him commentate Rocket League, and he actually commentated with me. But to backtrack a little bit, because this is a different part of the conversation here, but I do want to bring this up. Day 2, or tournament day 1 on Saturday, they were streaming some of the matches for Rocket League. They were doing Halo, but Halo had some technical difficulties, so they only streamed Rocket League, essentially, because they had technical difficulties, just could not do it. So after they started streaming the first game, I noticed something strange. I was only hearing gameplay. They actually had speakers in the facility, in the venue, and I heard gameplay. But what I didn't hear were commentators, or shoutcasters, as it's called in esports usually. I didn't hear any. And as someone who's been organizing and helping to organize and run tournaments and commentated tournaments for the last 4 or 5 years now, I'm not gonna say I was offended, but I could not stand for having no commentary. Now on day one, I was too busy, so that day was a bust. But as soon as I noticed that, because I was like, we're not gonna have commentators. I was looking around at my other players and some of the other players from the other schools and coaches and such, and our coaches, and I was like, I'm gonna go talk to the production crew. I could not, because the production crew had a great setup. They had a great stream setup. It was very professional, very well done, a lot of money put into it. The program they had was the same one I use at Western Michigan University, and that's like $1,200 for the bare minimum of what I would recommend to any actual pro or collegiate production. And these guys actually organized tournaments. UGC, they were separate from the people who organized the tournament. They were there specifically to stream the tournament and kind of promote their own organization. They do organize tournaments, but this one was one done by an Indiana-based organizer for high schools and I think colleges. So I walked over to him. I had actually interacted with him before because we got there at the venue, and I immediately, after setting down our stuff and getting settled, I saw vMix, that program I just talked about, the production software. It's like OBS or Streamlabs OBS on steroids, if you don't know what that is. If you don't know what OBS is, then it's something that people use to broadcast to TVs and to stream and do it simultaneously sometimes. Anyway, I had talked to them. I chatted them up a little bit about the program and learned what they were doing because I love their setup. I use vMix and I'm pretty good at it now, and I'm training my students and we're using it. But these guys had a 3 PC setup where they were using vMix on multiple PCs, and I was like, "How are you doing that? What? How does this work?" I was amazed, and I'm taking notes because I gotta train a production crew, and I'm not formally trained in production, so I'm getting experience wherever I can. And so I walked over there. I was like, "Hey, this is who I am. Who are you guys? And what is your setup?" And they were pretty open and honest about it, and I was just fascinated by it. So with that in mind, later, a couple hours down when the tournament starts up, and I recognize that, I run over there and I'm like, "Hey, are you guys gonna have any commentators?" And they were like, no one's really said anything about it, but you can go talk to the tournament organizer. That'd be the person to talk to. So I walked over to him and I'm like, "Are you guys gonna have any commentators?" And he was like, "Well, no one's stepped up to do it." I was like, "Are you serious?" And I was like, "I will commentate for you whenever I can, but I can't do it today because I'm watching my team." And basically the production crew was a little bit about, I don't think they had the equipment at that day because they didn't hear anything about commentators. So I was like, "I will commentate for you. I'll try to find some other commentators, preferably college students, because it is a collegiate high school event. We would like to get someone to show off the students. They're the kind of the face of this right now. I'm not trying to get clout or fame off of this. I want to just make sure the show is good, right? Again, I'm here to work. I'm here to be a coach. So I didn't day one. I'm not thinking about me, essentially. I'm thinking about, hey, there's a lot of schools and high schools and colleges here. Why aren't we promoting this more? Why aren't we putting on a good show when all you would need, not all, but one extra benefit is having a caster, or contributor is having a casters, having someone hype up what they're seeing, talking about it, breaking it down. If you have parents who don't know what the heck the game's about, you gotta have shoutcasters. You gotta have someone talking about the game. It doesn't matter how good the gameplay is if there's nobody talking about it and helping you understand and feeling, knowing what to feel. It's weird to say out loud, but that's how commentary actually works to some extent. There's more to it than that, but that's a big part of it. So they were like, "Yeah, on day 2, yeah, you just check in with us, let us know the situation." And I was like, "All right, cool. That's what I'll do." And so I, fast forward, I had a couple of conversations with the students that I had already referred to. And then on the day of, I just checked in with them. I was like, "Hey, how are you guys feeling today? I really want them to have some commentary. So before we get started, how do you feel about if I'm commentating while you guys are playing your game? What is your, how do you feel about that?" And they were like, "Hey, yeah, we understand that. That's fine. I feel like we got this. We know what to work on." And so I was like, I trusted them. I was like, "All right, cool. Good luck, guys. I know you guys can do it. And play your best. Play your game." And again, they played their best. They did refer back to me afterwards. We connected during one of the breaks, and we're like, "Yeah, we did really well. It was a really, really close game." It didn't feel like they regretted it at all. It didn't seem like they regretted it or were salty about it. So that's really, really good. So anyways, I'm doing commentary, or I found another student, someone from, what was it? Sharkonaut, I think it is like astronaut, but Sharkonaut. She was from Indiana Tech. Yep. So that was the first person I commentated with. So that was really cool. Seemed pretty professional and like very confident about it. So I like that energy. And so I brought in the commentary. I introduced the event. I started getting people hyped for it. And you know, I saw immediately the jump in stream because I was looking at the analytics. I just like to look at numbers. On day one, unfortunately, the stream had like no one in there at all. On day two, it was 20 to 40 at any given time concurrent viewers. But that's, I mean, you can't say twice as many because 0, you can't multiply it, but there's a lot more. That's significantly more than what we originally had or what they originally had. Because I just have this mindset now when it comes to tournaments where it's like, if no one's doing it and it needs to get done, then we're doing it. And all of our coaches at Albion have that same mindset because I wasn't the only person volunteering my time to make this show a good show or make this event a good event. All of the coaches and the director, they all did like tournament organizing and like officiating, checking the brackets and keeping the tournament flowing faster because it was a little bit understaffed and it was running a little slower than it needed to be. So they all stepped up and ran the brackets. And like, I didn't know this until after I was done doing my commentary. I'm like, where's everybody at? And everyone's doing things for the tournament because they're trying to make sure it goes well. We had our Halo coach because we had a Halo team going there. We had Matt as a coach, but he didn't have a team there. He was more of just administration and helping out and support. And he did a great job at that. I appreciate him. We had Carlo or Pernoi Knight. He's pretty well known in the Smash scene. He is the director of the program and also like kind of a Smash coach because we didn't have our other Smash coach Max, unfortunately. And then we had Zach. Did I say Zach already? Zach's the Halo coach. So me, yeah, I already said Zach. I'm crazy. I'm tired. We had one other staff member, but he was more on the IT side, but he was kind of here to support and help out. And that was actually pretty nice. He was really, really helpful. And he had like a New Zealand accent, so that was really nice. But anyways, my point is that we all stepped up and we're like, yo, we've all been in the fighting game scene or tournament organizing scene for years in various experiences on our own end together now. And we all just like, we didn't plan it or anything. We all just did things because we wanted to put on a good event. I wanted to make sure people were entertained and educated and knowing about it. So I'm promoting the students in the high schools. I'm like talking about the coaches, like make sure you guys are sharing this out, like trying to really hype everybody up and make sure they're sharing it and getting it out there. And but also, I mean, there is benefit for me to do that because afterwards, I had people walking up to me. I had students who wanted to go to my school just because, like, how I talked. Again, when I do commentary, I have my own style where I talk a lot about mentality, about mindset, about emotional management, all of that kind of stuff. And I can incorporate that into my commentary, and nobody can do it like me. I know that for a fact, and I'm very confident about that and proud of that. And no one should try to be me, right? No one should try to be me. Do you, okay? You just do you because I'm gonna do me. That's just the way it is. And so anyways, yeah, I got a lot of interactions. People were thanking me. I know how to play the game of schmoozing and interacting and talking to people, but it's not my thing. But if people are walking to me, like if I can bring the people to me, that's what I prefer. So I was exchanging cards with people were talking to me and having conversations with the coaches afterwards. So that did benefit me. It wasn't my intention to get that kind of stuff, but that's what happens when you do you to the best of your ability, when you really let your light shine. I'm not saying I'm the best commentator in the world, but I can get people hype and I can talk about stuff. Okay, I can get you excited and I can break things down in a good way and talk about the mindset. I got that. Rocket League, easy. Compared to fighting games, Rocket League commentating is hard. It's like playing the game is incredibly hard. Commentating Rocket League is easy, I meant to say. So I enjoyed myself. That's why I lost my voice though, and it's going in and out as I'm doing this podcast. So it was good. It was really fun to commentate. Again, I had a couple of different students come through. I also found more commentators so that I could take breaks. More people wanted to commentate because they didn't know. I was like, hey, tournament organizer, can you do a casting call? Like, get on your mic and be like, hey, we're looking for volunteers to do commentary. Like, actually just ask, because no one asked or stepped up, and the tournament organizer never asked and stepped up. So nobody ever asked. So no one ever had commentators. That's all it takes. If you want to get into the tournament scene and you want to help out, just ask. Say, is there anything that I can do? Is there anything specific that you need? Or if you have a specific skill set, then volunteer that. But don't just assume people are going to give you an opportunity if you're not asking for one. Just go and take it. So that was really great. And it gives me more on my highlight reel, my commentator's reel, or sizzle reel, whatever you want to call it. It was fun. And it was a stand-up commentary. I never did stand-up commentary Basically, whenever I do fighting game commentary, you're always at a desk sitting down, and that's normal. But in esports, it's more normal to stand up when you're casting. I don't know the logic behind it, but it's just League of Legends. I think Rocket League sometimes. Rocket League's, I think they have sit down people and stand up people, but it was pretty cool. It was a little bit not uncomfortable. Uncomfortable in the sense of just new and awkward, and I didn't really know what to do with my posture and my hands. I mirrored what I saw in other Rocket League players, but I also couldn't really, I'm looking dead on, so I couldn't really tell my posture, and if I was like really having I don't know how to talk about this, but I think a lot about posture and making sure that I'm presenting myself in a professional and dominant fashion, but also making sure that it's good for my body as well, because bad posture and slouching just isn't good for my body. So there's double benefits to having a good, strong posture, and I want to make sure that I'm doing that. I don't know, I wasn't self-conscious about it, but it was definitely top of mind whenever I was on camera. It wasn't super often, but it definitely happened, and I was talking about stuff, so it was just weird to have my full body standing up doing commentary, and I was like, man, I gotta work on losing more weight. I'm going to the gym like I talked about before, but this week has been a little bit hectic, and I didn't go as much as I'd like to. But long story short, I did commentary. It was fun. I got people involved, and then I had to leave early, so I set them up for success at this point, and we had to go. I had a 4-hour drive. I wasn't staying there for the whole entire tournament. I wanted to. Again, I didn't drive, so I watched the tournament on the way home, and then I also watched one of the students. And a Michigan team did win, but I gotta say, there were two teams that I got to commentate, and they went against each other. I think it was Portage High and Snyder High, and oh man, it was I have a couple funny thoughts, but I'm not gonna talk about those right now. It was high school students, and these guys were playing out of their mind. Like, one of my favorite matches that I did commentary for casting for was that match, and it was just nuts. And I think Snyder High was a team that lost, and Portage High went on to like losers finals because they had lost to who did they lose to? I'm not sure who beat them on the winner's side, now that I think about it, but somehow they got knocked into the loser side, and both these teams, it was such a good game. Like, high school students just killing it out there, and like, their age did not matter at all. And I will say, for those who don't follow pro Rocket League, one of the best players right now is a guy named Daniel, he was brought on when he was 15. Like, he couldn't legally play until he was 16. I don't remember the legalities of it, but he's a strong player. So high school teams can have some really, really good players on their team, and even get lucky and have a full team that's really, really good. And so, going on to the bracket, this is day 2, okay? This is today. And to give you some context about the situation, in losers finals, they were going up against Purdue A. Now, Purdue A is the team that won yesterday's tournament. They ran through the bracket on winner's side and won all the way through, and beat Davenport twice, which was my pick for the tournament. And so, day 2, Davenport winds up beating Purdue A on winner's side, sending them to loser side, and playing against the high school. And the high school team beat the team that won yesterday. That's nuts. That is nuts. These kids were so good. They're probably going to get recruited by Davenport. They wound up losing to Davenport, I think 2-4. But come on, that's ridiculous. They're going to get recruited probably and get some scholarships from esports. I'm in the process of trying to convince both Albion and Western Michigan University to offer scholarships of some sort. But nonetheless, it was nuts, and it was great. It was cool to see Michigan bring home a trophy. It wasn't us, but Davenport is in Michigan, so that was cool. And then Colin Grant, I believe it is his last name. I've worked with him in the past. He's a really well-organized machine. Like, the dude is good at his job. He isn't like the official coach. They don't even have a coach right now, I don't think. But, he has a good program, and he's good at recruiting. He's good at forming a team. And they showed up. They did their job. And you could say they were going up against high school students for the last match, but they were good. It didn't matter how old they were. They were just as good. And so they have a bright future ahead of them. And that's really exciting to see. So that was really awesome. I will say, even though we didn't win Rocket League, the Halo team took home 2 trophies. They won both the tournaments. There was a lot of craziness that was outside of the control of anybody in the venue, because the Halo itself was just kind of broken, unfortunately. So they couldn't play multiple matches at the same time on the same network. That's an issue, I guess, with Halo. So that made it run a lot slower, but our team powered through it and won both times. And there was new teams on day 2 that they hadn't fought, so they had to fight new opponents and some strong opponents, and they clutched it out. It was really, really awesome. We had some Smash players who got top 8, 7th place at a 70-person tournament. So that was really awesome to see that. Getting top 8 is also something to brag about. So overall, we had a great time. We basically took over the Battle at the Barn in terms of winning matches and also running the actual tournament, doing commentary, putting on a show, making it flow a little faster. Because all of us, me, Carlo, Matt are from the FGC, Zach's from the Smash scene. So we've all been in tournament organizers where you wear multiple hats. We all know how to wear multiple hats. And it was a good event. There were some frustrations here and there, but for the most part, it wasn't really worth complaining about or remembering, because I don't remember them at this point. I'm tired, but it was fun, and I'm very thankful to be able to travel and still be able to travel and be around tournaments. I want to compete again, but right now that's just not the best thing to do in terms of traveling too much and for expenses and time. But I would like to get to that point again one day. But for now, I get to enjoy, having my own hotel room. I was one of the lucky ones that had my own hotel room. Being able to go to this event, having my food paid for the weekend. I'm pretty sad because I miss my son and my wife, but this is a nice consolation prize to be able to do this for my job. So I had a good time. Shout out to Battle at the Barn and all the organizations that were there. UGC, Noobs. Noob's Gone AWOL. I got it. Noob's Gone AWOL. There was an esports circus over there as well. There's a few other organizations that I can't remember or I didn't get a chance to talk to. All the schools that I talked to, congratulations. I met some really awesome coaches, had some really great conversations, learned and shared notes, shared books like the one I mentioned before. It got really philosophical, got really practical. I'm going to try to get one of the coaches that I met on here. So hopefully he'll say yes. I already extended the offering and showed him what I do. We had a great conversation. I think it would be pretty useful to get his perspective as well. So stay tuned for that, I suppose. We'll see if he accepts. I'm looking to find more guests to talk to. I like bouncing ideas off of people, like the Zaffarino episode. I want to do more of that. Again, I used to do that a lot more. I kind of stopped, got lazy with it. This has been a great weekend. Thank you guys so much again for the continued support. Make sure you do like and follow this podcast. Make sure you like and follow. Check me out on social media. If you want to support me, you can go on my Patreon. I'm open to suggestions right now about coaching services. I want to do something in the world of coaching, like mental coaching, but I haven't figured out exactly what that is. So I'm open to suggestions. I really want to amp that up, start utilizing that. But I want it to be a transaction. I want you guys to get something out of it. So let me know from these podcasts, from the people who've been listening to me, even if it's not for you, even if you don't want to use the Patreon, which I totally am fine with. I would love some suggestions, some interaction on what you think I should be providing as a service as I go through the tiers, because I haven't put a lot of thought into it right now. I have, but just so much that I haven't gotten anything decided. So let me know. I'm getting out of here and going to bed, resting my throat, my voice. You guys have a great night. Thank you so much, and I will see you all in the next one.